Hi there, Heather Freeman here with the Painted Playground, and I'm painting butterflies today. And I also wanted to talk with you about something that I've been hearing from a lot of people that want to do more painting but aren't doing as much painting as they want right now. And that is, people are saying they don't have time to paint, that life is too busy, there's too much going on, there's too many things that they have to do, that they don't have time to make for getting out and painting. And so I want to bust through some of those myths about making time for painting, as well as paint some beautiful butterflies with you. And so I am going to go ahead and flip the camera around so you can get a close-up view of what I'm painting today, because what I'm really looking forward to is seeing what you paint. So I love being here and sharing some different techniques and painting some different things. And then what I love beyond that is getting to see what you do with it and what you paint. So let me make that shift right now and get you focused over here, and we'll start painting some butterflies. There we go. Let's get you turned around. And bear with me, here we go. All right. Perfect. All right. So just give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you can see that okay. I really want the canvas to be right where you can see it. All right. Looks good. From where I'm looking. Perfect. All right. So a few things that I have with me today is got some, recently started using some Deco Art paints, and I love them. I've got a blue that I'm going to be using for my background, along with some white. I've got a creamy yellow. This is their primary yellow. And, I'm not affiliated with Deco Art at all. I like to share the things that I'm using to help you get started and make it easier to pick up some paints to start painting. I've got a white. I also have, let's see, I was going to make my butterflies using a red and a pink today, and probably put in some flowers. So using some green for stems, and probably using this yellow again too for the flowers. So, and then I've got a few different paint brushes. The ones I'm going to be using today are mostly these three. So I've got a small square brush, and then I have two pointed paint brushes. One's a bigger pointed paintbrush to get into the bigger areas, and then a finer one for some finer details of the butterflies. So let's see, I need to get out my blue, and we'll start with our background. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about making time for painting, because I don't want to see anything holding you back. I was there for a long time where I put off making that time, and but expressing your creativity and getting it out onto the canvas is really an important thing. These are also, I have my tracers today for some butterflies too, so we'll be using those in a little bit. All right. So, and if you haven't already, you can go ahead and tap on the follow button so that you get a Facebook notification the next time I go live. And then an even better way is to jump on my email list, and I send the tutorials directly to you by email. That way you don't miss out. And there'll be a link at the bottom of the tutorial description that you can do to get on that. So again, welcome. Thanks for taking time out of your day to watch. I'm going to start adding some white. I'm just using a blending technique just to move that paint around a little bit. And sometimes I like to also add some water to my paint if I feel like it's too thick and it's not moving as much as I want it to. Then I will, one little trick you can use is adding some water. So just dipping your paintbrush into your water jug. I'm going to put a little sunshine right there, so that's why I'm leaving that circle there. And I'm just using the thick part and then twisting a little bit here and there to get that shape. Kind of get those paint brushes in. I'm just going to keep going around here, and acrylic paints, they dry fairly quickly. So that means, if you don't like the way something is looking, you can always come back and go over it again. There we go. So I'm just going to keep filling up my canvas here with the blue background for the sky. So give me a thumbs up if you love butterflies. If you love painting butterflies. Have you painted a butterfly before? I love bringing new things in my tutorials. So if there's something else you'd want to paint, let me know in the comments. I'm very much inspired by nature and the outdoors. We do a lot of paintings from nature. So that is looking pretty good. I think I'm going to let that dry. Just blend this in a little bit more here. And take out some of my yellow here. Here's my brush. And we'll get our sunshine in. So again, this is using just a blending technique. We're going to go around in circles. Make sure I get all my paint off my brush. I don't want a blue sun. Okay. I'm just going to fill in the sun, big circles. We're just using that whole arm. I'm not just going around my wrist like this. I'm actually taking my whole arm. There we go. And seeing some of that blue underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll do another layer. Another layer of yellow. come back in. There we go. Really, you can just keep adding layers until you're happy. So, yeah, so 3 things I wanted to talk about, kind of want to bust through today. 3 myths that come to mind when we think about, making that time for ourselves and making that time for creative play. Are self-care. That self-care is somehow selfish. That saying yes to self-care means I have to say that someone else's needs are less important. And the 3rd myth I want to bust through is saying yes to everyone else makes me a better person, right? So we're going to bust through those today because time can be scarce, and when you're running around taking care of others and getting everything you need done in the day, it can feel selfish to take time doing something for yourself. Yet at the same time, you want to keep yourself going, right? Like I've been in that place where I have all these things that I want to do. I want to get my kids where they need to go. I want to get dinner on the table. I want to give my mom a phone call who's back east. And so all these things are on our plates. We want to be there for those that we love the most, but we need to make time for ourselves. So tell me, is this you? Is this something that you worry about? Does this sound like a mindset that you get stuck in when it comes to your creative time? So I'm just going to play around with where I want these butterflies to go. It's part of the fun of the process is I don't have this canvas completely planned out. I have a general sense for kind of what I wanted to do and kind of some of the colors that felt good to me today, but I don't have it all planned out. So let's see. I think I'm going to do that. Okay. And who knows, this might change down the road, but we'll start here. All right, so let's get these little butterflies traced in. And I'm just getting the general shape. The outline. The paint's still a little bit wet, but we're working with it. So we'll let that dry. Let's start on our first butterfly. So I'll never forget the moment that I woke up from a deep slumber when I was 7 months pregnant. I had been expecting to wake up because at that point in my pregnancy, I was waking up pretty regularly, just kind of being uncomfortable with a full belly. But I wasn't expecting, this time that I woke up, I was not expecting the vision that was left in my head from a dream I had. And, this vision, this voice said, this canvas, it was a picture of a canvas painted, and the voice was saying, you must paint this canvas. This canvas has been imagined and is waiting for you, said this voice. And at the time I thought, gosh, I have everything that I want. I've got this amazing job. At the time I was working in public health and on this really awesome team of 2 other ladies, and my husband and I were in a new home, our first home. And I thought, well, what more could there be? Like, I'm so excited for everything that's going on right now. I have this baby coming. Like, my plate is full. Can't imagine doing anything else. But this voice said, you must paint this canvas. This is something you must do, you must create. You have this desire. This is a desire to be creative. And so listen to it. So I'm just filling in this butterfly, following the outline, and just kind of blending some red and pink in. I'm going to come back to this butterfly and add some more detail later. So this is just the first layer. Doesn't have to look perfect at this point. It's definitely, this is step one in the process. So don't expect it to look like a Picasso at this point. So, you know, after I woke up from that dream, I wasn't looking to start from scratch. I wasn't looking to, start a new career as an artist, or make any drastic changes like that. But then I started to think about it. I'm like, well, other people, I knew of other people that made time to be creative, that learned a new skill that brought them joy, and they still did everything they needed to do. And I thought, well, gosh, I could do that too. This is my second little butterfly. I'm just going to go around the edge and then get them painted in as well. Okay. So, for the next 3 months, I kept waking up at night and I kept offloading those dreams. So I kept dreaming about different canvases and paintings and things that I wanted to make. And so I felt like I needed to do something with that. I couldn't just leave it out there. And so I grabbed a sketchbook and I started sketching out those ideas and putting them into a sketchbook. And then in July of that year, I painted my first canvas. And then by the end of that year, I painted another 20 canvases. And then I painted, made some paintings, and I gave them away as gifts. It just really caught on fire for me. Definitely by the end of that year, I was spending 5 times more time, at least, creating and painting than I had ever before. And I doubled my energy reserve. Like, even though I had this young baby, I had more energy than I ever had before, and did more than I thought I could have ever done before, while making time for painting. So I'm going to leave that little body. I'm going to paint that black a little bit. And of course, along the way, I was bombarded with life and responsibilities, just like you. And I'm betting that this video isn't the first creative video that you've watched this week, and maybe even today. And you've probably seen countless Facebook updates, and you might have files full of Pinterest inspiration. Never mind all the other news and social media posts that are out there right now that are coming into your world. But I realized that, the good news is trying to consume it all and doing it all, it's bad news for your creativity. You need to know how to think about your creative playtime so that you can fill your bucket, so to speak, with the things that you want to do and the things that bring you joy, and have more control over that. So how do you know how, to give yourself, or when you need to give yourself time for self-care and filling up your bucket? Well, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to share a creative play strategy that will help you. So I'm just going to keep filling in this guy. I'm just kind of going back and forth with the pink and the red. Just to give it a mottled look, and then each of them will look a little different. Just kind of blending. Blending as I go. And where the paint is more dry, it's not going to blend as easily, so you just pull more paint on. Okay. Cool. Let that dry some more. All right. So, your painted playground, or your painted play mindset, is the how and what you say to yourself, right? It's the, it reminds you of who and what to recognize. Your cup, your inner desire to be creative, the ways you want to spend your time that refuels you and brings you joy. So, how everyone else thinks doesn't matter, okay? So, I want to talk about 3 kind of myths when it comes to making time for painting and kind of bust through them. So let's see, I've got my 3 butterflies, and this is where the butterfly comes into play. I'm painting the butterfly because it's one of my favorites, and also the butterfly shows up in my life every now and then. And one of the first times it came up was when my daughter was born, and so the butterfly is pretty special to me. So let's see, I'm going to take my pointed paintbrush now, and I'm going to get some black out. So the 3 myths we're going to bust through, and we're going to turn upside down, is that self-care is not selfish. Saying yes to self-care doesn't mean the needs of others are any less important. And always saying yes to everyone else does not make you a better person. I'm just going to go around the outside of these butterflies. So the beliefs are the way we think about things in our life, and they really set the stage for how we're going about our daily lives. So The first one I want to talk about is recognizing that self-care isn't selfish. Guilt, gosh, raise your hand if you feel guilty about thinking about making time for yourself. That can be a huge reason why someone doesn't make time for themselves. I've definitely been there. I've said to myself, I can't leave my kids right now. I can't do this for myself. My kids need me too much. Or, I have too many things on my list right now that I need to get done before the weekend. There's no way I can make time for myself this week. I'm going to put it off till next week. The reality is, though, that self-care isn't selfish at all. Rather, it's the way that we refuel so that we can do all the things that we want to do. And we can come to those things giving 110% of ourselves. Let's see. So now I'm just giving my butterfly some of the details on its wings. So Deborah Day once said, nourishing yourself in a way that helps you blossom in the direction you want to go is attainable, and you are worth the effort. Paint him in while I've got my black paint out. So another myth to making time for ourselves is I can't take away time for my kids, my husband, work, fill in the blank, whatever that might be. I have too many other things going on. I can't make time. This is a belief that we falsely believe that our time isn't ours. So we just need to stop giving away our time as if it's endless. There's only so many hours in the week, and we need to take hold of those hours and make them ours. So those hours are yours. They're no one else's. You don't get them back once they're used up. Okay. And then the third one is people will judge me. You feel like you have to say yes, 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 but you really want to say no. And this one's a biggie for so many women that paint with me. They feel this obligation to say yes to everybody else except for themselves. Especially when they're being asked to do something that they're told, nobody else can do it like you. But here's the thing, you don't have to do something just because you're good at it or just because they think you're the only one, because there's always other resources available. And, saying no to something could be the opportunity for somebody else to step in and for somebody else to say yes. It doesn't always have to be you. And we're just making these guys symmetrical, so I'm doing the same thing on both sides. Oops. I say that and then I kind of miss this one up. So I can do that, and then I can come back in with some more red and pink. Cover that right up. No one has to know. So learning to set and enforce boundaries and saying no. I know it can be hard. I coach myself on that often. But really, start rethinking what it means to say no so that you can create strong boundaries for yourself. Because when you set and uphold those strong boundaries, you're respecting yourself and you're respecting your time. All right, so we're going to do a final detail on these little butterflies, and I'm just using a toothpick. So, supplies that you use don't have to be expensive. A lot of times I find things just around the house, and this is the case for this one. I've got a little toothpick here. I'm just dipping it in my white paint, and I'm going to give these butterflies some delicate little details around the wings. It's going to make them pop. So, and you can play with this a little bit. Play is just an understood thing with the painted playground. I'm always encouraging, this is the way that I'm painting, but you have the liberty to paint whatever ways you want to paint. And really make it your own. That's where the fun and magic really happens. And I have to say, it's super exciting to watch when people finish their paintings and put that paintbrush down and say, okay, this is it, I'm done. And when we all get to admire each other's work, it's really cool. So if you want to take this tutorial and do some butterflies and share it, there is a free Facebook group that I have going on where you can post your work from the things you've been painting. All right. Oop, you know what? I want to paint in their little bodies. Oh, and they need antenna. This is where the fine pointed brush comes in handy. So if you are someone who doesn't feel they have the time to spend painting, you know, we just talked about busting through 3 myths when it comes to making time so you don't feel guilty. And we talked about that self-care is not selfish. That saying yes to self-care doesn't mean the needs of others are any less important. You know, when we take care of ourselves and give ourselves the time and attention that we need, we're actually able to give others more of ourselves. We come to it with more joy, more positive attitude. And then always saying yes to others doesn't make you a better person. You know, people won't admire you for being exhausted and doing everything and just because you get it all done. Okay, and then I think I got a few more. I think this is looking good. Oh, I want to give this one a little flower. So I really hope that some of these, you know, busting through these myths makes it easier for you to get to the canvas. You know, let me know which one of these resonated with you. And if you'd like to receive these tutorials, the next tutorial will be coming out next week. If you want to get it straight to your inbox, you can get on my email list using the link below. After you enter your email, you'll get a confirmation. And then I always like to give out little something more, so you'll get a little surprise in there too. So I might add some flowers over here. Here I'm just using the tip. All right, there we have it, our 3 little butterflies. You know, and if you know someone who would benefit from this tutorial, please pass it along. The more people painting in our world, the more colorful it'll be, right? So, all right, have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time at the canvas. All right, take care, everybody.